Hi, I'm Chef Leo.
Hi, I'm Chef Theo, and this is The Confessions of a Private Chef. Hey, Chef, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I say great all the time. I've been feeling a little, down, but it's like, I think allergies, it's just working my ass off and just, life in general. I guess it's been a little hard, but we stay busy. I stay busy. And so it's like, you never have time to recuperate. But when we come to the bar to do this podcast, now it's like we get to have our favorite drinks.
Yeah, man.
Which, I'm drinking some Cairo right now, Salvation Spirit, which is locally made. And it's time, we get to unwind and just have like bro time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We had texted a little bit earlier in the week, and you told me you were a little down and out, man. And I was like, dude, that sucks. We've been dealing like with this crazy wind here, and there's just been so much crap in the air too, so it's been kind of affecting people in my family too, but...
Yeah, I think that it's weird because we never got like the wind fire hazard until the California stuff, and now it's like fire hazard really in Fredericksburg.
Yeah, dude.
It's dry and I get it, but dude, I guess we're just covering their asses. It's like we said,
when you drive out to my spot, there's just so much brush and like dead trees still everywhere, and I'm like, dude, it literally is like a nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah. So hopefully, we're not going to get that this year. We don't want to turn out like them.
No, of course not.
Burn down half our.
Anyways, on to lighter subjects.
It's depressing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. It's been a good week for me. Got lots. Did a couple tastings for some upcoming weddings, and yeah, man, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a good season coming up, so I'm excited for that. And we got a great guest on tonight.
Yeah, so I met this guy. He's a true badass. I've seen him, grow in the past few years, and I think I met him one time here at the bar when I was bartending, prior to him starting the what he has now, which is a speakeasy. And it was funny because I'd been kicking around the concept. I just come back from, I was in LA and I had gone to a couple speakeasies over there, and said, man, it's really cool. They're doing a lot in little spaces. And I thought, man, that'd be a cool concept in Fredericksburg. And somehow I always get talked out of things, because I'm always too busy doing so many things. I can never focus on just one thing.
And the ADD.
Yeah. So it's like, nah, okay, I don't need to do that. But it was crazy because then like half a year or a year passes, and he comes back in and goes, oh, dude, so I've got this concept, and he's doing this. And it's like, dude, that is badass. Somebody needed to do it. And since then, I think something just opened up. But I mean, this guy's the OG when it comes to the Fredericksburg scene for what it is, a true speakeasy. And then, of course, the cool thing is that they're also making their own spirits.
Yeah, man, it's crafted right there, from what I understand.
Right, and of course, another thing that's really cool about it is that it's like more upscale, a spirit. So, and that's coming from Fredericksburg, and so for Fredericksburg to produce something at that level and that caliber, it says a lot for our community, and creates, of course, more jobs. There's more product going out. And it's just, overall a great deal to have.
Yeah, it gives people more of a reason to come out and visit.
Right, for sure, man. So, yeah.
Cool. So without further ado, Trey
Blocker.
Trey Blocker.
Yeah.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Man, a voice made for radio.
Thanks for having me on. That's a product of having a cold, I think, or allergies, one or the other.
You know what? It works great.
It helps, right? It helps.
It helps a lot. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you, Trey. I mean, where are you from?
Oh, I want to go way back. I grew up south of San Antonio.
Okay.
Kind of Floresville, Pleasanton, Poteet area.
Yeah, I got family over.
So at the crossroads of strawberries and peanuts. for the ag folks out there.
Yeah. So you can't stay a specific place. It's just in the middle of nowhere.
No, there's no town. It's just out in the county.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great place to grow up. Also a great place to leave and go somewhere else.
Well, yeah. You got to experience a little bit of nothing to, now quite a bit.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I left there after high school, went to Virginia for undergrad, a little school called Hampden-Sydney College, which is the 10th oldest college in the country. Patrick Henry was on the original board of directors. So cool little spot to be. After I did that,
What'd you go for?
I went because it was as far away from home as I could get without falling into the water, right? But Hampden, Sydney is in the rolling hills of Southern Virginia. It's all Federalist architecture, just beautiful, just a beautiful place. You know, when I was applying, or actually prior to applying, I was looking at all the materials, and, you know, I was falling in love with this place, and they sent me a video. I'm watching the video. I'm like, this is great. I want to go here. And then about halfway through the video, it says, and it's a student population of 1,000 men.
Oh,
shit.
And I'm waiting for the other figure, right? Okay, so how many women, right? Is it like 2,000? I mean,
boys?
1,000? No women.
Oh my God!
All male college, right? And so I'm looking for the remote, for the stop button on the remote. Like, screw this, I'm out.
Right.
But then they're like, wait, before you hit that stop button, Hampden, Sydney is surrounded by 5 all-women's schools. And so I'm not good at math, but that sounded like good math.
So that's 1 to 5.
I ended up talking to an alumnus who called me to convince me this was a good place to go. And he said, look, don't let the all-male thing worry you, because starting on Thursday afternoon, the cars start rolling through the gates. And by Friday afternoon, there's 8 girls for every guy on campus. And I was like, all right, even I shouldn't be able to screw that up.
No, well, I bet you live tired there the entire time. It's like, how do you get out of bed? Why would you want to get out of bed, especially after the weekend?
You know, the great thing about it is you're in rural Virginia, right? So Monday through Thursday, there's not much to do but focus on studying. And so that's what you did.
Yeah.
And then when the weekend came, you party like a rock star.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great,
man.
It was great. So after that, I moved to Austin for law school and got sucked into politics and somehow graduated law school. I don't really know how, because I never attended. I was enrolled, but seldom attended. I had to have friends remind me when exams were rolling around, and apparently you had to apply for graduation, which I didn't know. Somebody had to tell me, because I almost missed the deadline to apply for graduation.
Oh my God. It was like a natural thing for you. I mean, you show up, you do your work, and it's like, here.
That's right.
You're
just
a lawyer.
knock it out, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, I graduated law school, somehow passed the bar exam, and then I've been working in politics ever since. You know, first worked inside the Capitol for about a decade, went to a big law firm, tried to be a litigator for a while, realized that sucked. I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life, and so started my own firm and focused on lobbying after that. So still doing that to this day.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, you're doing more than that to this day. I mean,
That's true. That's true.
So, do you have ADHD by any chance?
Any what?
ADHD. Do you have it?
I don't know, maybe.
Because you're bouncing around doing different things all the time. So I don't know if you do it because you like to, or because you feel like that you have to keep on staying busy.
I think I have too many ideas.
I
just have too many ideas. And I'm foolish enough to try to execute on too many of my
You got to at least try them, right? You got to try it out. What's the worst that can happen? You fail, go on to the next one.
That's right. As the saying goes, you learn more from your failures than your successes.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah, wasn't Winston Churchill big on that? Like, you know, fail, success,
That's
kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And the other saying I like is, if you're going to fail fast, so you can move on to the next thing. Right?
There you go, man.
You don't want to drag that falling thing down too long.
Right.
No, dude. Yeah, because it will. That's a good verbiage right there.
I feel like there's a lot of people in denial. They'll try something and they're failing. It's like, come on, I know I can still pull it off. I can, and it's like, dude, just fucking move away from that. It's like on to the next.
Yeah, I had a good friend who was in the RTD business. He had a super cool product. And it was just hard to get traction with, right? And he churned on that thing for a decade. And after about 4 years maybe, he should have shut it down. But what are you going to do?
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. I commend him for trying.
Right. He must have deep pockets. Keep on wanting to.
Yeah, that's right. And a hard head.
Yeah.
Right.
And I suppose you only got one life, so, you know, if you're going to mess it up, I guess just mess it up and then try to move, as quick as you can.
For sure.
That's right. That's right.
Anyways.
So what gets you to where you're at now in life? Like,
how do you move from lobbying and law school to, distilling great Texas Hill Country product here?
Yeah. So back in 2017, for those listening who don't know, the Texas legislature meets for 140 days every other year. All right, so odd number years. It's kind of go time for 5 months. 2017, I was working on some really big projects, and truthfully got kind of burned out. And so, and I was getting tired of Austin. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to sell my house and buy 40 acres and some Longhorns in Fredericksburg and,
All right.
and see what happens, right? So I came out here. Came out here and I guess it was probably it was a beautiful January day, 2019. I had a friend in from California, and she and I were sitting at Signor Vineyards enjoying a glass of wine. Place was packed. It was 74 degrees, sunny, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I said, Amelia, take a look around and tell me the first thing you notice. And so she kind of does a spin at the picnic table and looks all the way around, and she looks back at me and she says, where are all the guys? And I was like, welcome to Fredericksburg on the weekend, especially if you're hanging out at a winery, right? And most wineries around here will tell you on the weekends it's 80% female.
Yeah.
So as a lobbyist, I always tell people that makes me a professional drinker, right?
Right.
And so when you spend your career entertaining legislative staffers, average age 28, you kind of get to know what people's drinking habits are, right? And so the first thing I thought after that was somebody needs to build a vodka and gin distillery out here. And so that was the genesis.
Because that's what you like to drink, or because you thought that's what the guys or whoever.
Demographics,
Yeah.
Vodka is always going to be about 40% of the spirits market, and women, especially young women, lean heavily towards drinking vodka because they view it as kind of a low calorie, no calorie option. They can mix it with whatever they want to mix it with, so it's an easy go-to, right? And as both of you know, the most popular thing these days is an espresso martini made with vodka, right? So it was that, and then kind of the growing trends in gin. Gin's been a growing category for a long time now because of the craft cocktail scene, right? As you know, Chef. I mean, once the craft cocktail scene started picking up, gin started picking up because it's a great spirit to make cocktails with. It's just a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah.
So that was
pretty
kind
diverse.
of, it's diverse, and there's a lot you can do with it. So that was the beginning of it. Was that moment? That was the genesis story, as I like to say. And so then it was a matter of doing some research and trying to figure out how to make it happen.
Wow.
I would be like, okay, what's next? I got to find property. I've got to who do I know that can?
Yeah.
So all basically from one pretty afternoon in Senior Vineyards, you're
That's
like,
right.
okay, I'm gonna go for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Guys, I can just ramble, by the
dude.
way, and I don't want to ramble.
No.
So just tell me to shut up when you want me to shut up.
No, I'm listening to your story, and it's like, dude, I mean, it went so fast because, I mean, your timeline is like bam, 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 and it's like all of a sudden I have this distillery, but I mean, you know what you wanted to do, but why make it? Why not just, I know there's a lot of people that are just, especially when it comes to liquor, they'll blend it, or they'll, not necessarily make their own. But I mean, it takes a lot more work to be making your stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So, one of the things, I don't know, can I text the bar chef and have him bring a cocktail over? Does that work?
Yeah, no, I can wave them down.
I thought that might work. I mean,
He's got a connection.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hear he's got a connection to the bar. He responded. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And he even knew to put Cairo in it too.
I know.
Smart boy. Smart. You've raised a good kid.
You know what? He was easy. I didn't have to do much. He pretty much raised himself.
Good.
I got lucky.
So okay. So you decide you want to go this route and start making this product here. Like, how do you get from just sitting in the backyard at Senior Vineyards and having a dream to actually being able to execute and make this happen?
Because you've never made it before. You didn't study how to make it. So it's like you got to find the right people.
Did I mention I'm a lawyer?
Yes.
And I stayed at the Holiday Inn. Right. Yeah. The timing of that, think about when I said that happened, 2019.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened in
before
2020?
COVID.
Yeah. And so I have this idea of spring of 2019, early 2019, and I start, thinking about it really hard and start doing some research, and then COVID hit, right? And so I didn't have to go to Austin for meetings. I literally got to sit and watch. I got a PhD in distilling off of YouTube.
Oh God!
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I just watched. I think I watched every video on the internet about distilling, right?
Yeah.
How to make gin, how to make vodka. I watched all the videos on how to make whiskey, everything.
What do I need? Ordering things from?
What kind of equipment? I mean, I watched so many videos on equipment.
Yeah.
The old German still makers, Holstein and Mueller, and those guys that have been doing that for 300-400 years. It's just amazing. And so, I learned so much. I was like, I really want to do this. And then I realized I didn't have any money to do any of this, right? I had a little bit of money, but not enough money to do it right. So then I realized, okay, I got to figure out how to write a business plan. I've never written a business plan. And I'm like, okay, if I go raise money, how do I do that? And so I'm researching, you got to maybe do a seed round and a Series A. Well, I knew nothing about that either, right? So now I'm watching YouTube videos on how to write a business plan. Then I'm watching YouTube videos on how to build a pitch deck.
You're going to YouTube University.
That's right.
They need to create
YouTube
something like
University.
that.
I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was free, 50 free.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay any university jack. I just watched it on
you just
YouTube
learned, man. Yeah.
and just learned it. So it was a fun process. It was a really fun process. And so, the story I really like to tell, and this is kind of a funny deal, is I had all these ideas about names and branding, and because that's kind of the fun part. I mean, making the juice is super fun. Learning the art of distilling is really cool, right? But then you get into the branding, and you got to think about it. I'm a lawyer, so my trade.
There's Carlos. What's that drink?
Here comes the most beautiful Manhattan I've ever seen.
What's Manhattan?
From the most talented mixologist I know.
Yeah.
Don't tell Sean Lemaster I just said that.
That's it's all good. He's gonna hear it.
It's okay, yeah. It's just on record.
Sean sucks.
Well,
Carlos, Sean, you're fired. Carlos, you're hired.
You know what I like? You know what I like about Sean? I like that he's tall. He's got a good look.
He's got the look.
Yeah, he's got the look. But
And the women love him.
I'm sure,
They
man.
love
But
him.
when they find out he's married, he's like, oh, shit. My son
right.
isn't married, so he has one. He has one on Sean, on top of being really badass at what he does.
That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah, I'll still say my son's better. Any day. Any day.
So you're going to
He's
YouTube
good.
University.
Yeah, going to YouTube University.
You're learning about raising money and stills and creating products. So what's next after that?
Man, I came up with all kinds of ideas about the name for the distillery and so many ideas just bouncing around my head. And I decided I needed to go meet with the best marketing firm I could find, right? So I find Butler Brothers in Austin. They did branding for the soccer team, and I think they did some Yeti branding, all that kind of stuff too. And so I went and sat down with them. The actual two Butler brothers and probably 4 or 5 of their staff in their conference room, and one of them says, "All right, now why do you want to build a distillery?" And man, I just started rambling. Right, stuff was pouring out of my mouth so fast I wasn't even hearing what I was saying, and all of a sudden, all at once, everybody in the conference room, except for me, started laughing. Right, and so I stopped. I'm like, "What's so funny?" And the guy was like, "Dude," and he could barely breathe, right? He's having a hard time talking. He's like, "Did you hear what you just said?" And I'm like, "No, I guess not. Y'all are laughing. I'm not." He said, "You just said that you want to build a distillery so you can get out of politics so you don't have to drink so much." I was like, man, that makes perfect sense to me. I don't know why that didn't make sense to you, right? And you know what? To be honest, it's proven to be true. Because in the political world, when I'm out, I do a lot of happy hours, a lot of dinners, right? And there's always drinking that goes along with that because you're socializing,
Of course.
getting to know people, developing relationships. And on the flip side, when I'm at the speakeasy, right, I'm giving
talking to
people
people,
tastings.
yeah.
I'm talking to people. I'm finding out where they're from, telling them about the spirits, telling them about the brand, telling them about the mission. I'm not drinking, they are. Right? So I literally drink less owning a distillery than working in politics.
It's the exact same thing with like us being chefs. I mean, it's people like, "Oh, you're not going to eat with us?" Every time I make something, it's like, no. It's like I used to taste everything. Now I don't even taste.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
because I do it with my eyes closed. I know what I'm doing. Mine doesn't change. I know there are people like, Ashley, it's always different for her. So, I mean, she's constantly doing that. But for me, no, man. I mean, it's like, so I don't know where this weight's coming from because I'm not eating that much, man.
I know, man. For me, it's weird. I will like go on these marathon cooking sprees where I have to cook for like a ton of people, and so like 2 days I'm like basically like fasting, But then when when everybody's fed, I'm like I'm gonna have a big meal now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it, bro.
So I always thought if I love donuts and I started donut shop, right?
But lose weight.
And I had to get up at 5 a.m. every morning, go make donuts and smell donuts. I probably would hate donuts before too long, right? Mm-hmm. I can assure you it hasn't gotten that way with vodka and gin.
Yeah.
I would think being a chef, maybe you're just like, I'm going to go home and eat a salad now. I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah, I'll cook this filet or ribeyes, and everybody's, oh, it looks so good. It's like, dude, no, thank you. Dude, I'm good.
I'll eat the end piece of the filet, like over the trash can when I'm done or something.
Let me ask you.
Something like that. I can't. I just don't.
Let me ask you though, have you ever, cooked a big, amazing meal for a private group and then stopped at McDonald's on the way home?
I do that all the time. I used to. I don't do it anymore because I'm trying to watch what I eat. But it was almost like every night I'd stop by and give me a hot and spicy chicken.
Hell yeah.
That's what I wanted. I wanted a little kit.
That's
or
awesome.
I'll stop.
That's
or
awesome.
I'll stop at the gas station and get me, just junk.
Yeah, chili
Not
cheese
anymore.
dog from Sonic.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'll still
Now
do.
we're talking.
Yeah, I'll do a supersonic sometimes, man, but it's like, but I'm pulling the trailer. Sometimes it's like I can't do that. I got to walk out.
Their smash burger isn't bad. It's pretty good.
It's real good. The smash burgers are great.
At
I've had them
Sonic for sure.
twice, and I had to stop at twice.
I know, because it's so good. You're like, I cannot. This is a black hole.
Right, and there are people that are trying to make money off the smash burger, and it's like, dude, how do you? I mean, you can't compete.
Dude.
You can't compete.
Right.
I was seeing this funny thing today talking about fast food. Taco Bell created this, I guess for marketing, they created this forum or an event where they announced all their new tacos for the year. Mm-hmm. And it looks like an Apple event.
Like an Apple event?
Yeah, I'll have to send you the video online. It's super funny, but it's just this whole it's like a publicity stunt,
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're making a Mountain Dew cheesecake or something like that.
Dude, that's nasty. Taco Bell is the only place that I can't get around the concept of just making. I don't know. It's like the college students. They hired a whole bunch of college students to just go in and consult for them. To what would you eat if you were drunk or high?
Yep.
It's like what would you want? Oh, dude, let's just put this and this together fusion shit. And
it's funny.
God damn, man. Yeah, I don't get it.
So I have to. Maybe I should admit this, but I like Jack in the Box tacos better than Taco Bell.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I like them too.
those
They're
are good,
crispy.
man.
They're it's like
it's an order of two.
It's like a Tex-Mex taco more than taco. It's not that crunchy stuff. It's like they take the thing and they put it on their flat iron, flatten it out, and it's more fried than. Dude, you remind me of my dad like that. That's how my dad was. He loved that stuff.
But hey, I didn't know. I don't know if you knew this. I was a chef back in the day.
No,
Really?
I didn't know.
Yeah. At Jack in the Box.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, for sure. I ate a lot of tacos.
I ate a lot of the ultimate cheeseburger. I think the ultimate bacon cheeseburger.
Sourdough Jack.
Yeah, dude, it's badass. That's one of my favorite.
Back to the taco. Don't they use American cheese in it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all nasty, man. I mean, I don't even think it's real meat. I'm pretty convinced it's not.
It's probably soy based, but it's pretty damn good still.
Yeah, it tasted good, right? And that's all that matters.
Exactly.
It goes back to that drunk or high comment.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean,
When it's late night, you don't care.
I mean, if it's good, it's good. I mean, it doesn't mean it's good for you.
No.
But if it tastes good, it's kind of hard to beat that.
That's right.
So you're opening the distillery. This is a hard pivot from junk food. So the property where you have it now, is that property that you bought when you sold your house, or is that something you acquired after? So how did that all play out?
Yeah, so I guess that probably was the next step, right? I decided, okay, I'm going to build this vodka and gin distillery. Where am I going to put it? So I started looking for property. And part of the idea was, we have a lot of vineyards and wineries around here, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the official number is, These days, I think for the county, maybe it's over 100, right? It's a bunch.
Yeah.
It's a bunch. And a lot of them are located 7-8 miles east of town on 290. And I thought, I'm going to plop this vodka and gin distillery right in the middle of the wineries, right? Because maybe I'm wrong. I now know I'm not. At the time, I was thinking maybe I'm wrong, but at some point, you got to get tired of drinking wine. I love wine, right? I love good wine. But at some point, I want something else. And so I was trying to, my idea was to provide something else.
Right.
And so I ended up buying a 10-acre orchard right on 290 across from Messina-Hoff, not too far from Grape Creek, right next to Inwood, right next to Mindelbaum. And I didn't buy it because it was an orchard. I bought it because it was right on 290. It was a good location, right? And so there was a little farmhouse on the front of the property that the old guy who owned the place made peach ice cream and jams and jellies, right? And all this stuff from everything he grew out the orchard, which was a lot of peaches, pears, plums, a lot of blackberries, about 50 pecan trees. He grew all kinds of stuff. He planted stuff. I remember Israel, the farmer, telling me that the old guy told him to plant a bunch of cherry trees, and Israel tried to tell him, boss, cherries aren't going to grow here, and they planted them anyway. So when I bought the orchard, the cherry trees were there, and they were nice looking trees, but guess what?
They wouldn't produce.
No cherries. No cherries. But so I bought that, and the thing, I love going to distilleries. I think most people love touring something that's making something, right? Any kind of manufacturing process, people want to see behind the scenes, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be pencils. People want to go check it out and see it, and so that's why people like going to breweries and distilleries and wineries is to see the process. But what I've noticed over the years too is the tasting room at most distilleries are kind of an afterthought, right? They're a place where you can sip a little of the juice, whatever they're making. Maybe you can get a cocktail. If you can, it's usually a crappy cocktail, let's be honest. And so I wanted to kind of flip the script and make a different experience. I knew from the beginning I was going to make premium spirits, right? I wasn't aiming for the middle of the market. I was aiming for the top of the market. And so I knew I was going to make premium spirits. I wanted to showcase those premium spirits in elevated cocktails, elevated craft cocktails made by the absolute best mixologist I could find. So I took that little farmhouse and turned it into a 1920 style speakeasy, hired the best mixologist I could find, right, and created the best cocktails we could possibly make. And, right now, we're making Salvation Spirits vodka, which last fall, by the America's Best Spirits competition, got named Best Vodka in America.
That's crazy.
Wow,
right?
Dude.
Best vodka in America. And that one still hasn't really sunk in. I mean, we got a double gold and got best in category, which means, in that competition, we were the best vodka, right? Out of hundreds and hundreds of entries. Right. That's a big deal.
And so when you win something like that, do you see numbers jump because people are now wanting to try it, and are you distributing? And
well, I mean, it definitely helps. What really, everybody knows Tito's vodka, right? Tito's is all over the world. And what really turned the corner for Tito's when he was struggling is he entered a competition, got a double gold for his vodka. He never entered another competition as far as I know.
That was
and just kept saying this is a double gold award-winning vodka.
Yeah.
Right? And that's all it took. Now he's a billionaire. So
there you go.
So we got a double gold and best in category for the vodka. We got a double gold on our barrel-aged gin. All right. So our barrel-aged gin is called Cairo. We make Fritztown gin, which is American-style gin. We make the only blackberry gin made in America. It's actually one of two in the entire world. The only other legitimate blackberry gin is made on Vancouver Island in Canada. Yeah. So it's been a fun process, but I want to go back to the name because I started telling that story and got sidetracked. I originally had a name in mind and had gotten the web address, had designed a label, had started securing IP, all that kind of stuff that you do. And I woke up one morning and I'm laying in bed. I'm kind of really just in the moment of, when you're coming out of sleep and you kind of opening your eyes a little bit and trying to figure if you want to wake up or not. And someone said to me, you need to name the distillery Salvation Spirit. And let me just say, after I say that, everybody's like, yeah, what was her name? Right.
Or, man, is this guy all there? You know, I'm thinking,
Yeah, right,
is he hearing
exactly.
voices?
Exactly. Well, I was hearing voices.
Yeah.
There was nobody in the room. And look, it wasn't an audible thing, like it was something coming out of the corner of the room or anything. But in my head, somebody said, you need to name the distillery Salvation Spirits. And so I kept laying there, and I kind of pretended like I didn't hear it. And then I heard it again.
Oh, God.
You need to name the distillery Salvation Spirits. And so I was like, okay, I heard it that time, right? But I don't know what to do with it. What kind of weird stuff did I eat for dinner last night, right? Give me some weird thoughts. And so anyway, I decided to get up and just start my morning and do my typical morning routine. So I get up, I feed the dogs. I've got 3 golden retrievers. Fed them, made some coffee, grabbed my Bible, grabbed my journal, went out on the back porch, and that's what I do every morning, right? And so I sit down, and for whatever reason, I decided to reread Hebrews that morning. And so I open Hebrews chapter 1, start from the beginning, and I get 14 verses into it. And the author of Hebrews is talking about angels and says, aren't they all ministering spirits sent to aid those who will inherit salvation? And so in that one verse, salvation and spirits was literally, and when I say literally, I mean literally,
Yeah, you read
glowing at me, right? And I was like, all right, God, I get it. I hear you.
Yeah, man.
From this moment forward, the name is Salvation Spirits. And so what was fun after that is, it was a conviction at that point. There was no question.
Right.
That was the name.
Yeah.
And so I'm addicted to this website called 99designs.com. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's fun to make logos and stuff like that. Or you can do websites, label designs, whatever you need to do. But the way it works is they have designers from all over the world who are on this platform, right? And so you get on there, you tell them all the information you can possibly tell them about what you're trying to achieve and what you're looking for. And then these designers compete for your business. And so you get all of these drafts and concepts and ideas, and then you eventually have to pick a winner. And then that winner gets paid. That's the only person who gets paid. And so it's super fun because, if you go to a typical traditional marketing agency, you're going to have 1 or 2 designers, and you're just going to have to hope that they're good.
They might give you 3 designs, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas, with that platform, you got people from all over the world giving you ideas.
That's great.
Yeah, which
and
is
so
cool.
It's fun, and it's honestly a little bit addictive. So instead of getting on there and giving them all the information I could possibly give them, I decided to do something a little different. I got on there and said, I'm building a distillery called Salvation Spirits. And I need a logo and a vodka bottle design because I'm going to call it vodka, Salvation Spirits Vodka. And that's all I told, right? And so I launched this competition, and it was funny to see the stuff that came back, right? And probably the funniest thing I got back was a vodka label that had a red and white life preserver.
What?
And it didn't make any sense to me at first.
Yeah.
And I realized,
Yeah.
if you're drowning, that is salvation. That is salvation. You want that red and white life preserver.
That's funny.
And so I got a good laugh out of that one. But then there were like probably 4 or 5 designers who created a vodka bottle label that all had the exact same statue of an angel holding a sword.
Yeah, that's a badass angel. Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So that is not what's on our bottle. So we don't have a bottle of Salvation Spirits vodka right here, but
I've seen it.
but
yeah,
you
I
know what it
drive by
looks like.
it.
You know what
Yeah.
it looks like.
I got one
So-
back there. I can grab it.
So it was this statue, though, of this angel holding a sword up in the air. And keep in mind, this is a designer from Florida, a designer from California, a designer from the Czech Republic, and they're all using the same art. And so it's not original art. They didn't hand draw this. So you got to love Google, right? I mean, as much as we could complain about the age we live in and all that's bad, there's some cool shit out there, right?
that's fast.
The fact
man.
that you can get on Google and find anything in 30 seconds. I mean, I literally got on Google and I Googled, and this sounds like a joke, but it's not a joke. I Googled angel with a sword statue.
And it came right up.
Yeah, it's a statue of the Archangel Michael in a piazza in Italy, right? And I'm like, okay, that's super cool. But I realized I didn't know much about the Archangel Michael, and so I started Googling Michael, and come to find out, he's in the Bible 3 times, I think, but he shows up in other ancient Jewish writings more than that. And he's even referenced and revered in Islam as well, right? So in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, Michael the Archangel is viewed as a healer and a protector. And that's a whole conversation in itself. When you decide you want to do a theology episode, we'll go down that road. But I thought that was super cool, right? And so, all right, we're going to adopt Michael the Archangel as kind of the patron saint, so to speak, of Salvation Spirits. And so then I launched another contest on 99designs.com, and I said, okay, I'm going to use Michael the Archangel, and I need original artwork. And that's where the logo that you see on Salvation Spirits vodka came from.
That's
right?
cool, yeah.
So I always like to say, people always ask, and it's one thing if I'm at the speakeasy and I get to tell the story, right, of how all this came about, because it's kind of an evolution, so to speak. But my staff has to explain it too, right? So I finally boil it down for them. I said, look, if somebody asks you about the name Salvation Spirit, or the angel on the bottle, or the name Cairo on the barrel-aged gin, or the symbol, right, on the barrel-aged gin, just tell them the owner says it's all divinely inspired. Because it is. It was just one moment after another, because once I had the original artwork of Michael, and I kept thinking, he's viewed as this healer and protector, then that's when the mission statement came to me, right? So on every bottle of vodka and gin we make, it says we take inspiration from the Archangel Michael, who's viewed as a healer and a protector, to contribute 10% of our net profit to charities serving the poor, the powerless, and the hungry.
Oh, perfect.
Right?
Wow, what a great cause, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So again, like I say, it's just one moment after another. And so I had this vodka, had the gin in mind. I had 4 acres of blackberries growing on this orchard, right? So I was like, hey, has anybody ever done a blackberry gin? So that's how we decided to do blackberry gin. And this is a distracting seat over here, by the way.
I know, man, but it works.
And next time I want to sit on the other side of the table.
No. That's what we did on purpose.
If you ever have me back.
I mean, you can always look around the bar too, man. I mean,
Well, it's springtime in Fredericksburg.
I know, spring
people
break.
are out. Yeah,
Spring
people
break
are
time.
out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of angels, right? This guy is like,
am I rambling again?
No, man,
Am I
you're good.
rambling
You're
again?
not even drunk
Do you
yet.
need me to shut up?
Hell no, man. Keep going.
Okay, so let me tell you about this. So Cairo. Now, for those of you out there listening who have not experienced our Cairo barrel-aged gin, it's not made in Cairo, Egypt, right? It's not Cairo as in Egypt. It's Cairo, C-H-I, capital R-H-O, and it's the Greek letters, Chi and Rho. So for our fraternity brothers out there and sorority sisters out there, they'll know, right? But I didn't necessarily have any idea I was going to do a barrel-aged gin, but I was at a distillery that makes a barrel-aged gin. And let me just say, I'm an equal opportunity drinker. I like just about everything, right? There's not much I don't like. I can't really get into mezcal for some reason, but it's just too manly for me, I think.
It gets sweeter. The more you drink, it gets sweeter.
I can do a mezcal cocktail, but I can only have one. But so anyway, I'm drinking this barrel-aged gin. I thought, this sucks. And so then I go to Total Wine and I buy every barrel-aged gin I can find, which honestly is only about 5, right? Only about 5 of them made in America. And I took them home and I drank it. Well, I didn't drink all of it. I sampled each of them. Let me rephrase. And they all sucked, right? And so I'm like, okay, why do these all suck? And so I started doing some research and realized every distillery in America that was making a barrel-aged gin they all did two things the exact same way, and ultimately it was the two things I decided they were doing wrong. One, they all aged their gin in old bourbon barrels. Mm-hmm. And if I like bourbon, but if I want my gin to taste like bourbon, I'll just drink bourbon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think that's a mistake they're making. And then the second thing they all do the same, which is the second mistake, is they age it like you'd age whiskey. And if you leave gin in a charred oak barrel for 2 years, what you have at the end of 2 years is whiskey.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've killed all your gin botanicals. Gin botanicals are light, floral, citrus, right? So you leave it in a barrel for too long, you might as well have not bothered making gin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Just make bourbon.
That's just make whiskey, make bourbon, whatever you want to make, but don't mess up a good gin by leaving it in a barrel for 2 years. So I bought brand new charred American oak barrels, and I put our Fritztown gin in it. And about once every 3 or 4 weeks, I'd go out there and draw some out of it and taste it, see what I thought. And so after about 7 months, and it depends on the time of the year, how long you end up leaving it in there. So it's a little different every time. But about 6 to 8 months, right, is where I decided this is where gin meets whiskey in a proper way, right? So what I was striving for was, how do we get that beautiful amber color that you see in our barrel-aged gin, and the honey, the vanilla, the caramel, a little bit of smokiness, but marry it with our very purposely chosen gin botanicals, not overpower them, right? And that's how Cairo came about. And I will say this, and it's kind of a tagline. If you see an ad for Cairo, it says, "Meet Cairo, what whiskey wishes it could be."
Yeah.
And I don't mean to offend my good friend Dan Garrison, because he makes some fabulous bourbon, but
it's different. I mean,
it's different. And I will say, if you make an old fashioned or a Manhattan or a Boulevardier with Cairo barrel aged gin, it's just a more sophisticated, elevated cocktail. If you're a simpleton, stick with your bourbon old fashioned. Right? Now that was probably offensive. I'm sorry.
No, trust me.
But it's just a more complex cocktail.
Right.
And I think it just it reaches to a different level, and especially if you're going to pair that with food. Right. I mean, everything we make, from the vodka to the gin, the blackberry gin, the barrel-aged gin, man, what amazing food pairings. And Chef, you've done some of those with us, and man, it's just fun to play with.
Yeah,
right?
it is, and it makes it so much easier to do when when you have a great product. It's easier to just pair something, because you don't have to overdo it. You pick a few notes, simple ingredients, and you just elevates the entire thing.
Yeah, people are used to doing wine pairing dinners, right? And those are fun. Those are fun, but you've been to one wine pairing dinner, you've been to all of them.
Yeah. What's the first thing you notice whenever you go to these things? Or you see the influencers that show up all the time with their hats, doing their little twirls, or thing. Yeah, they go for that, But this is totally different, man.
But you do a cocktail pairing dinner?
It's totally different.
Oh, man. It'll blow your mind. Now, caveat emptor, the thing that people need to remember is you probably need an Uber to go home after a cocktail pairing dinner.
4 or 5 different tastings.
Yeah, it's a little heftier than a wine.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. All right, one more story, and then I'm going to shut up.
Keep going.
So, Cairo. So we talked about this symbol. So when this first batch was in barrels, I was watching a documentary on the Roman Emperor Constantine, and he wasn't yet an emperor. He was a young general, and he was about to go into battle. And back in the Roman Empire, the way you became emperor, it was to be a badass general, right? And so he's a young general. He's about to go in this battle. The sun's coming up, and emblazoned across the sky was this Cairo symbol that's on our bottle. And underneath it said, "By this sign you shall conquer." And so he goes in the battle, he kicks some ass, right? He goes to bed that night, and here's where the theme of everything we do comes in, and the divine inspiration. But that night, Michael, the archangel, comes to him in a dream and says, keep putting that symbol on all your battle flags and your empire will grow. And that's when the Byzantine Empire got built out from northern Africa all the way through Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, and Constantine converted it all to Christianity.
So that's where the thread of the Michael, the archangel, kind of meets this.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So again, I say it's all divinely inspired, all interconnected, right?
That's crazy.
And so, again, the first batch of that was in barrels. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to name our barrel-aged gin Cairo, right? I'm going to create a logo for it, which I did. But then that phrase, by this sign you shall conquer, kept kind of rolling around in my head. And I didn't know why, but I knew there must be a reason, and I just needed to be patient, right? I just needed to be patient. And so, we pull the first batch out, and I was working on the bottle design, and I was like, all right, it's about time to print these bottles, we get this juice in the bottles. And then I was watching a documentary, you can tell there's a habit here, right? Watching a documentary on human trafficking. And I didn't know much about human trafficking, and I learned by watching this documentary that it's awful. It's dark, it's an epidemic. It's dark. It's evil, right? Oh, yeah. It's evil incarnate. But and I want to slow down when I say this. It's a $150 billion
industry,
illegal industry globally.
That's crazy.
And approximately, we don't know for sure, but approximately 30 million people are trafficked every year. 1/3 of that 30 million. So again, I'm a lawyer, I don't do math, but 1/3 of 30 million. Okay, that's pretty easy math. That's about 10 million, right? Is that right?
Let's go with that.
Okay, let's go with that. 1/3 of that are children.
Oh, God.
Children.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so it's just this disgusting, disturbing problem, and Americans want to think that happens in other countries, in third world countries. No, it's happening in your backyard.
That's crazy.
And even if you live in Plano, Texas, in Colleyville, Texas, it's happening in your backyard, and we've seen news stories in the last couple of years that prove exactly that, right? And so all of a sudden, that phrase from Constantine going into battle, by this sign you shall conquer, gave me a whole new idea for a mission statement. So on Cairo, on the bottle of Cairo, and anything we put on the Cairo label, which is also included our peach brandy, which, by the way, was named Best Craft Brandy in America last February at the American Craft Spirits competition. But on every Cairo bottle, it says we take inspiration from the Archangel Michael to contribute 10% of our net profit to organizations combating human trafficking.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
All right?
That's awesome.
And we take that seriously. There are a number of organizations that we work with to combat human trafficking. And it's just, it's a problem that needs more attention. And people really don't grasp what a mess that is,
Well, that's really cool that you're using your, this product that you're making to help, combat that, and just using our small Fredericksburg town here and creating a great product that is, backing a great cause, essentially.
We live in a great town with a lot of great people, and so that's inspiration in and of itself, right? But look, I am a firm believer that we can make great products and do good for the world at the same time, right? In fact, if you don't have a mission-driven, purpose-driven business, you should rethink your business model, in my opinion. I think no matter what we're doing in life, we can do it in a way that's giving back, if that makes sense.
Always, yeah, for sure. I mean, I believe in karma. I've said this a lot. You do something good, and for the world or for someone, or just because you feel like it grows out of you, then it finds its way back.
It's the law of reciprocity,
right? And it might not be financially, it might be spiritually or physically, or but somehow you get something positive back.
100%.
It always happens. It always works out that way.
Well, and I tell you, a cool thing about being in the speakeasy, right? We have people coming from all over the state of Texas, all over the country, coming to the speakeasy, and when I'm there and I get a chance to talk to people and they ask, tell us about the name, tell us about the symbolism, tell us about this or that. Man, it's the most amazing opportunity to connect with people, right? And some really cool things have come from that. And so it's super fulfilling. Yeah, we want to make the best possible spirits we can make, and we think we are, but there's absolutely no reason we can't do that and change the world for the better at the same time.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, man. So it sounds like like the Cairo is kind of the one that, I'm sure you care deeply about all of your products, but this one seems like it's very close to your heart.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will say this. When I decided I was going to make vodka and gin, I was absolutely one of those people who was of the belief that vodka's vodka, right? And so you'll find a theme in my drinking too, in my experimentation. I went and I went to Total Wine and I bought a bunch of vodka, right? Now I didn't buy all the vodka because damn, there's too much vodka out there. But I bought probably 20 bottles of vodka in all price ranges. And I very quickly realized there's a difference between good vodka and bad vodka, right? There's crappy vodka out there, let's be honest, and there's really good vodka. There's everything in between. So once I threw away the bad shit and I put the good stuff side by side, you get to a point, especially you got to do it side by side, right? But you get to a point where you can go, okay, now I realize what a potato vodka tastes like. Now I realize what a corn vodka tastes like, or a rye or a wheat vodka. And so that was super cool. When you're comparing the premium vodkas and you're looking at those nuances, that was what was super cool, because what I decided was, okay, the potato vodka for me just always tastes like dirt, right? And maybe that was just all psychological, so I'm not going to knock those. The wheat and the rye vodkas leaned a little bit to the spicy side, which would be great if I'm making a Bloody Mary, but that's just one cocktail.
Right.
I wouldn't make a martini out of that, right? So it was really the corn vodka. When I found premium corn vodkas, I was like, this is the direction I want to go.
Milder, sweeter.
Yeah, you get the silkiness and the sweetness on the palate. And so, it makes for a fabulous martini. Then you can do anything with it, right? And so I learned a lot about vodka. I learned to appreciate vodka more than I did before. And then gin, I knew, because I had bought the orchard, right? And I knew I wanted to do this blackberry gin. So when I was working with the master distiller, I said, I want a gin that's going to work well with a blackberry infusion, right? So he's like, all right, well, we definitely got to go more American style than London Dry. And look, let me say this. For those people listening who aren't gin drinkers or who think they're not gin drinkers, it's because, well, depending on your age, it's possible, it's likely, in fact, because I've done research now for 3 years at Speakeasy, that you had a bad experience with London Dry Gin back when you were in college or high school, or if you were a real derelict, maybe middle school. But it was always, it was always with the Beefeater or some crap like that. That was the London Dry Gin. And so American gin has evolved over the past decade, and it's lower on the juniper level, higher on the citrus and the floral. Much more approachable, makes a better cocktail. So man, I can't tell you. I could sit here for another 2 hours, and I know we're probably running a long time.
Dude, you're good.
We're good.
I could tell you a ton of stories about people who come into the Speakeasy and say, I'm not a gin drinker. Okay, give me half an hour, right? And they leave with 6 bottles.
Right.
Actually, they leave with 4 or 6 is illegal. TABC,
All of a sudden,
TABC's not listening, but 4 is the maximum per law per person.
But they come in couples and they take 6.
There you go.
That's right. 4 per person. So at any rate, I'll make you a gin drinker if you don't think you're a gin drinker. 2 stories I love to tell. There were 3 couples came in one day, and they sit down, and I'm like, all right, what are you on the move for? And the guys, you could tell they had hit a couple wineries, right, already. And the guys were like, man, we're just going to be honest with you. We're from Kentucky, and we're bourbon drinkers, and we're just here because our wives dragged us here. And I was like, all right, cool.
Like, fuck off, get out of here.
So then I stopped talking to them. I start talking to the ladies, and I said, what are you in the mood for? And so we had a conversation. I took their orders and didn't take the guys' orders and just walked away.
Yeah.
All right. Come back a few minutes later, give the ladies their drinks, and I set 3 old fashions down in front of the guys, and I walked away. So I came back about 10 minutes later with a bottle of Cairo behind my back, and I said, so, how do you feel about those old fashions? And they're like, man, it's the best old fashioned I've ever had. And I was like, well, great. That's a gin.
You hit him with the fucking bottle.
That's exactly what I set it down on the table with a bit of a thump. And I said, it's a gin. It's a gin old fashioned, right?
You were
and they're like, nah, get out of here, you know? Yeah. So they all left with bottles. That was fun, right? There goes the Border Patrol guys.
Oh my God, on a trailer.
On a trailer.
What's funny is it's probably a Mexican driving the trailer.
Yeah, he didn't even know what his cargo is. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you gotta love it.
Yeah, good stuff. Love Texas.
Heck yeah.
So the other super funny story I like to tell is there were these 4 guys in one day, and I find out pretty quickly that one of the guys is the CFO for Maker's Mark.
Oh God.
And I'm like, oh shit, you know, I'm a little nervous if I'm gonna be honest. And so I made some recommendations, and he ordered some cocktails, and I gave him a full tasting, right? And gave him some vodka, gave him some gin, gave him some blackberry gin, gave him some Cairo. And in the process of all this and talking to him, I watched him drink 2 Manhattans made with the barrel-aged gin. And so, kind of, you know, after about an hour, they're wrapping up, and I decided to do my survey. And I'm like, all right, gentlemen, what do you think? Give me some feedback. And the guy from Maker's Mark said, he looks around the room like,
shit, like who's gonna hear me?
Yeah, exactly. Who's gonna hear me? I was like, bro, you're from Kentucky. You know, nobody here knows who you are.
Give a shit about Kentucky.
He looks around and he says, don't tell anybody I said this. And guess what? I tell the story every damn weekend. Every weekend. But he says, don't tell anybody I said this, but I'm a vodka drinker. I almost started laughing. And he said, your vodka's the best vodka I've ever had. And he said, give me 2 bottles. I'm gonna put those in my suitcase and go home with them, right? And
dang.
So, but then I was also sitting there wondering, okay, the dude just drank 2 Manhattans, right? And so he then says, but, and he picks up that Manhattan, and he said, I've never tasted anything like this Manhattan and this barrel-aged gin. He said, give me 2 bottles of that to take home, but I'm taking 1 home, and I'm taking 1 to the office for the guys at Maker's Mark to drink.
That's funny.
It's like, okay, that's cool. That is super
Hell yeah.
cool. And that's when I knew we were doing something right.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So
it's great to feel like, you know, like everything you've done has gone full circle, and it's like you did it. You know, you made it, right?
Well, I haven't made it. I don't think I made a profit yet, but you know,
you've made a name for yourself. You made a name for the business. You know, you're doing something right.
I know we're making really good products, right? And I think we got really good branding. I know we've got a great mission. I know we're gonna do a lot of good in the world, and so that makes me happy. And I'm confident that the doors that need to open at the right times will open at the right times, and eventually, you know, whether it's Salvation Spirits Vodka, Fritztown Gin, a Cairo, Barrel-Aged Gin, people across the country are going to know these brands at some point. I'm 100% confident in that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's next? What do you got cooking? You got any new ideas?
Man, I think I mentioned in passing that our peach brandy got named Best Craft Brandy in America, right? Which was completely out of the blue. And a couple years ago, we had a bumper crop of peaches at the orchard and a bumper crop of pears. So we made a peach brandy and a pear brandy And I say brandy, and I don't want to get too much into the detail or into the technicalities, but our peach brandy was barrel aged in French oak for about 8 months. No, 18 months. 18 months. Sorry. Again, I'm not good at math. 18 months. But the pear, once we distilled it, had such a delicate, unique flavor. We realized barrel aging it would probably overpower the pear flavor. So with that, we created an eau de vie. Right? In French, it's called an eau de vie. The Germans call it Edelbrand. But we decided not to age that in a barrel, and that's fantastic. But the peach brandy got named Best Craft Brandy in America, which was fun because we were at the Sean, who we mentioned, my master mixologist. He and I were at the American Craft Spirits Conference in Denver last February, and we had gotten a medal. We entered 5 products. Well, we entered everything, right? The vodka, the gin, the blackberry gin, the barrel-aged gin, and then the peach brandy. We got a medal for the vodka. We got a medal for the gin. We got a medal for the blackberry gin. We got a medal for the barrel-aged gin.
Wow.
We got a medal for the peach brandy, right? And so I texted a friend of mine who's on the board of ACSA, and I said, okay, I assume I'm done here. I got to go take a call. I'm going to go out in the hallway, right? Well, he had his phone on silent, so he didn't see my text. So I walk out in the hallway. I call this client, and he said, where are you at? And I said, I'm in Denver at the Craft Spirits Conference. And he said, man, we can talk next week. Get back in that deal, right? I mean, it's a banquet, an award show. There had to have been 600 people there. Right?
Damn.
It was a big room with a lot of people. And so because of that client, and I thank him to this day, right? Because he didn't want to talk. He's like, get off the phone, go back in there.
Yeah.
Well, I go back in there, and I was sitting pretty close to the stage with Dan and Nancy Garrison from Garrison Brothers. And I'm walking back through this massive ballroom, and I get back to the table, and I just sat down, and Nancy Garrison starts, like, banging me in the ribs with her elbow. And I'm like, what? What did I do, And she's like, go up there. I'm like, for what? And I look up, and they had these 2 massive screens on both sides of the stage. And on those screens was the bottle of our peach brandy.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, what just happened?
What did I get?
Because we're new at this, right? I've not been to this conference a dozen times. I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know what the awards are. And so I don't know what's going on. All I know is I see the bottles of our peach brandy on these screens, and Nancy Garrison saying, get up there. And so I walk up on the stage. Well, that's when they said, okay, yeah, you got a golden medal, but you also just got named Best Craft Brandy in America.
Oh, shit.
And here's this massive award, which was this barrel head, that said Cairo Peach Brandy on it, Best Craft Brandy, blah, blah. And so they hand me this thing, and they take all these pictures, and they're like, now say something. What the hell?
You almost said it, man. You almost said it.
I did. I almost did. I was like, what the hell am I going to say? And let me be honest with you, Chef. I was hungover because we had been in Denver for 3 days. And there's if you know Death & Co., oh, shit.
We're good.
Death & Co. makes the best damn cocktails in the country. There's one in Denver, one in New York City, one in L.A., I think. And so we hit that place a couple nights doing research, of course, right?
Of course.
And then we hit a couple other speakeasies for research purposes.
Of course.
So, man, I was damn hungover. And so I'm up on this stage, and all of a sudden they stick a microphone in my face. And they're like, okay, why don't you say something to the 600 people who, you want to come on the show, dear? Why don't you say something to these 600 people, who are distillers from all over the country about why your brandy's the best brandy?
Wow.
And I'm like, no, that feels wrong.
Yeah.
That feels so wrong. And so,
But-
I mean, I had imposter syndrome, right?
Right.
And so I get up there, and all I could do, and I think this was a God thing, I just said, here's the mission. Here's who we are, here's what we do, and I'm humbled to be here.
Right.
And thank God that, somehow we managed to make this brandy that everybody loved. And so, thank you.
I don't think I've tried it yet. And the funny thing is that I'm sitting with a bottle that I've had for like a year.
Oh,
there in
wow,
my
dude.
studio.
You know what, bro? You got one of the last bottles because it's sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the peach and the pear sitting in my thing, so it's like still sitting there.
You gonna do it again?
Well, it all depends on the crop, man. God, it's all up to God.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But man, I love the brandy segment, and we live in a time where not a lot of people drink brandy.
No,
right?
I agree.
And I think people need to rediscover brandy.
We're just creating a cocktail. I mean, all the time.
Oh,
but
for sure,
not
for
straight
sure.
up.
It really does.
They'll probably make a good sauce too, like for a dessert or something.
That's 100% true, and we
yeah,
have
for
done
sure.
that. Haven't you, Chef?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Dude, my peach, I'll caramelize my peaches, a little bit of sugar,
dude.
throw my brandy in there. I did a cobbler with it.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
pork belly.
Oh, is that the one you did with the cast iron, with the FBG cast iron too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Works really well. Pork belly.
Are y'all
peach
getting
cobbler.
paid by FBG cast iron? Because if you're not, go ahead and put the plug in because
they provide us
they're making
gear.
good stuff.
They provide us
He's great,
gear,
man. He's great.
And they're such beautiful.
Yeah, works of art.
Yeah, man.
It's
in the
it's
kitchen.
total work of art for
Dude,
sure.
but it's been great, man.
Oh,
God, man. I honestly didn't know we were gonna get this much information out of you, my brother. I'm glad you showed up.
You
and
didn't
it's
know I was
like-
going to talk this much, did you?
No. I was hoping you did, but it's like every time we, because I've done when I work with you, it's like I show up. Hey, you bring me your bottles.
Yeah, we got work to do.
And so it's like we never get to just chill and just talk.
Yeah.
So
That's
this
cool.
is nice. This is nice.
It is nice.
I need
And
to
then-
find a way to make it out there.
I like to.
soon.
What we need
Yeah.
to do one of these episodes at the Speakeasy.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because we got that loft upstairs, and you need to get Sean on this
No, for
podcast.
sure, yeah.
Let him geek out on mixology.
We're
with you.
ready. We're ready for
Yeah,
him.
hell yeah,
But
dude.
dude. We hope we can do that soon. I hope.
Yeah,
For sure. So how do we get a hold of you, and how does the people get a hold of you? They want to, look for you on the website, your address, your times, all that good
What
stuff.
if they want to buy a bottle of Cairo?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We just redesigned and launched a new website. It's salvation-spirits.com. And so on that site, you're going to learn everything about the origins of Salvation Spirits, the story that I just told. You can buy bottles online if you want.
Oh, that's cool.
awesome.
Which is great. If you're going to be around the Fredericksburg area, around the Hill Country, you want to come to the Speakeasy, we are a reservation-only Speakeasy. We don't take massive groups of 15 or 20, so come in small groups. Make sure you make a reservation. You can do that at salvationspeakeasy.com.
Nice.
We'd love to see you. We're always happy to tell the stories. And look, I've been all over the country. Like I said, did I say I'm a professional drinker?
We figured.
Research. It's only research.
It's research,
Yeah.
but I've been
Professional
to
R&D.
restaurants and bars all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you that I've got some of the best mixologists I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
Chef, your son has bartended with us, and he's a talented dude.
He's a great kid. Great guy.
He's
great
awesome.
man. I keep on calling him a kid. He's 31 years old.
I almost said kid, and I said dude.
31, man. 30. He still has that face, though.
He's got a baby face for sure.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
yeah, would love everybody to come see us and
awesome.
and learn what we're doing and be a part of it. And I like to say this too. Look, for those of us who do like cocktails and craft cocktails and spirits, you can drink with a purpose. And when you're drinking Salvation Spirits, you're drinking with a purpose.
For sure, man.
That's cool,
Love
man.
that.
That's cool. so the hangover doesn't feel as bad.
No, 100%.
It's on purpose.
Right.
That's right.
And you have permission to do it because you're doing it for a good reason.
Exactly.
There's a good cause behind it.
There's a good cause behind it. You know,
Yeah.
you're doing good things for
bro.
people who need it.
That's
you know?
right. That's right. So what about you, my brother?
Oh, just
How do
hit
they
me
hold
up,
you?
thedinindude.com, and on Instagram, the Dine-In Dude.
That's awesome. That's super easy, man.
Yeah, man. What about you, Chef?
Not the same thing, you know, 'cause then it would go to you, Chef Leo Aguirre, you know, eat FBGTX. Blah. I haven't been,
Say that one more
I
time.
have not. Eat FBGTX or eat Fredericksburg, Texas.
Yeah.
Or you can just type in my name, Chef Leo Aguirre,
Yeah.
and it goes to that too.
Yeah.
You're easy to find, man. Everything you do is great.
I enjoy doing everything that I do, although I am tired at the end of the day. But I love what I do,
But
man.
you live life to the fullest,
That
man.
I do.
You live life
Hey,
to the fullest.
there's a lot to be said for that. We should all do that, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. Well,
absolutely.
brother,
And you know what? Good food, good spirits, good people.
That's
what
right.
it's all about.
Hell yeah, brother. That's a good way to put it. Easy way to
yeah.
put it. Well, thanks for getting on with us and showing up here at the bar. Again, we're coming to you from 78624, the bar here on the Golden Block on Main Street. And
It's a beautiful evening.
If you happen to come by, try a cocktail. And if you hear us, and we're going to give you a discount, 15%. And just say,
let your server know,
podcast table, or
yeah.
just, the podcast special, and they'll hook you up even when we're recording. Join us every Thursday. We're here, except for next Thursday, which is going to be, what's the date?
Oh, dude, I have to look at the calendar.
Hey, while you're looking, let me throw something out I didn't plan on
go for
throwing
it.
out.
Go for it.
If you are listening to this show and you come to the Speakeasy, say you heard us on this podcast, and say Chef Leo sent us, and we'll give you a 20% discount.
Oh, I love it. Hey, there you go. There you
Little
go.
gift there at the end.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Well, again, guys, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
It's
been a pleasure.
Oh, dude, Trey.
It's been nice to get to know you, Trey. I love
Likewise.
your story, and I love how you've interwoven your faith into everything that you've done.
For sure.
Very cool.
And also let's everybody listening follow the bar 7624 the bar as well,
It's an
man.
awesome spot.
Yeah, for sure, guys. And again, located here on Main Street, Golden Block, right across from Vaudeville. Another great place to go eat. So,
Oh, yeah,
all right,
man.
guys. Well, until next time, it was great, hanging out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All
Yes,
right, man.
sir. Bye,
Ciao.
Chef.
Bye.